Anyhow, when he was already 92, 93, I said, you know, Vetter Eskel, Itzhak ist gestorben, Eisenberger, Zippis. Oh, look, so I told everything that what I heard. I said that ich habe gehört, etwas, als auf Samen mit Seive steht aufgeschrieben, der Kinder. And he said, Hanne, das mir gegeben eine gute Idee. 8 Kinder weg in Auschwitz. Wo sollen nicht sein auf Mann mit Seive auch? I just recently asked my cousin if your father has on the Metzeve. He said, no. I said, you know what he told me? This and this he told me, but I'm not telling.
Who told you this?
My uncle, my father's brother, who lost 8 children, who I told you that the wife, and she listened even, and she says, Heskel, weißt du, das ist nicht eine schlechte Idee. She also encouraged, but I really don't know if they ever did it. By my sister Dina, she never died before 5 years, and on her metzeve is my sister, the 4 children, my brother, everything on it that went to Kiddush Hashem.
My friend Leslie, when his father passed away, he did that because there are a lot of people my age whose fathers unfortunately had so they did it.
Why they do? I asked
no,
my.
I was trying to say that before the war, before Auschwitz, my grandfather, he has 2 wives. The one passed away. He had 8 children with her. And from the second wife, the first child, a daughter, was given after his first wife.
That was in a normal circumstance, not in Auschwitz.
Yes.
That she was very generous, I must tell you, because usually second wives, the normal, when they normally pass away, they are not so generous that right away to give. But she must have to be a very generous woman if she gave the name of the first. But here it's a different story. Here was Kiddush Hashem. It was a different circumstances. Nobody took away the other wife, and nobody died naturally. Only it was a tragedy, and that's how a lot of people were understanding the whole thing. In fact, I think that once I spoke to your mother, and I said to Itzik, I took the courage to tell her that, Wally, Hashem made everything, and you had to marry my brother-in-law, because that's how it happened. It's nobody did it. It's that how it happened. I remember, I think that by the wedding or after the wedding, I was with her on a wedding, and I told her, and she was older already then, and she was 2 years only older from me.
Right.
We were almost in the same age.
Right.
And she accepted. Then she accepted more when she married. In the moment she was a Kala and she married, it was a very touchy momentum for her. Why? Because the husband was already a man with an 11-year-old child, and it was a difference. She was a young girl and she married. He was a very good-looking man, and I don't know how the marriage came forth, but that was Beshert, and I understand her also that she was touchy, because a girl in her age should marry really a young boy. I had a very interesting thing when I married my husband. I was engaged with my husband, and my parents weren't and nothing. What was the engagement? He asked me if I want to marry, and I said, okay, I want my sister should see you, because that was, and my brother-in-law, who my father chose like a son-in-law, I said, Yankev, also Yaakov, Yankev in Israel, do me a favor, go and meet a guy, a boy, not a guy, a Bahur, who I met, and he wants to marry me, but I don't know, I'm afraid alone to decide, although I was already 22 years old, but don't forget that I was the number 8 child. It was a different development also. My sisters had to marry first because my mother said that azoi wie man ist geboren, azoi braucht man Hasen herum. And my sister, I didn't marry before my sister Dina, and I could marry only because Dina wasn't yet married. When Dina married, das ist Anna Gitte beter, then I said, now I'm the next in the row. But not this is the, we were going to Yehudia, to my sister Esther's, also the Leben Mashiach. And I wanted, my sister Buve already saw Yaakov Maskem, everything. So I went Shabbos, for a Shabbos to my sister Esther. And there was my sister Esther's the sister-in-law, who married also, was engaged, Rivke Zalmi and Ingenaine, who was engaged to a boy who was a father of 3. And you see, it was when my brother-in-law's sister, the Ovich, heard that my husband wasn't married, that he's a young man without marriage, somehow the Chosn felt that Rivka is going, the sister of my brother-in-law is going to hear that he wasn't married, and the other one made a whole story for my brother-in-law that my husband was married in Czechoslovakia and have 2 children left there. Listen to that. You remember that?
It was 25 years ago.
Soll mir nie geneiden. And my brother-in-law,
when I came out from
my brother-in-law comes
You were
from
from Czechoslovakia?
Yeah.
From
Neben
where?
Munkac.
Munkac.
Zwar.
Carpathia.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's where Ezra's from.
Ezra's from. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of you.
You know anyone Ezra? Chaim Ezra Berkowitz? From where you are from?
From
Am I the town where?
Dibova. He's from Dibova.
No, that's
Oh.
anyhow. My brother-in-law comes home Friday night, and he says to tells to my sister Esther, die weiß, dass der junge Mann ist schon gewesen heiratet und hat Kinder in Czechoslovakia. And my sister was shocked and comes to me quietly and tell me, do you know that he was married and he has children? He says, I don't know nothing, but I'm gonna know. Don't you worry. After supper, I went out with him on a walk and I said, Rochel Bitcho, tell me, Noach, you were married, you have children? He said, who said it? I said, a boy who is the host for Rivka. You're going to meet him tomorrow in shul, and you better look in his eyes and tell him what it is, because I want to clear the whole thing. And you remember that you went to him by Shaleshides? He talked to him, and he says, do you know me? He says, no. So he says, so how in the world did you spread such a thing for my Kale? He says, because I heard about somebody and you look alike and things, anyhow. And so was straight out. But I wouldn't tell you that I didn't got a little bit shock in my heart that what's going on. When you came, that's what I wanted to explain the whole thing. We came home from Auschwitz. We were children, alone. The whole responsibility, everything were on us. You were born here in this country already, so that's why I'm explaining you. It was a big achrayes to get married because there were all kind of marriages. They didn't know. They came from here, from there, from Poland. You couldn't inquire like today. Who are these people? You have to go according the story, and it was a big achrayes to get married.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow,
I think one of the reasons his mother, I mean, I could be wrong,
Yes.
married someone that was much older. Her father
Yeah.
died when she was a very little girl.
that was
called
in
that.
Olga
Busy
did it.
talking.
Her sister
right.
was older, and she had that also you have to know that the older sister took over like a parent.
Right.
Olga was the older sister, and she knew that they cannot go back and nobody is in life, and she has the responsibility to, and most probably somebody had ungetrunken the Shidduch, and a fine family, and they were in Budapest and so far and so on. I assume, I never knew it.
When we were in Austria,
Yes.
we actually had papers to go to Israel,
Yes.
and for some reason, my father decided he's coming to America
Because he
his
had a
sisters.
sister here.
All the sisters
I know.
are here. Mindu was here. She
Yes.
had something to
I
get a
know.
job and work. So
I know, it
we
was
ended up
much
here.
easier life
And
than...
1956 was the war in Israel, the
I
second
know,
war.
I
right?
know,
So
I know.
why is he going to take his family to another war, from one war to
Exactly,
another war?
exactly,
Didn't make any
exactly.
sense. So why put the family in jeopardy again?
I
You
know.
know.
He was, your father was already in the 40s. He was a established young man who knew what he's doing, because it was not easy to go to Israel. Israel was very hard, Chana and all kind of life. And the family was here. He had all the reasons
Right,
to come
sure.
here. I also came here. I also applied here like visa to come here. Why did my sister go to Venezuela? Because it was nearer from South America to come here.
She's still there?
No. She came after 2 years, she lived in Venezuela. And then already the quota let her, and she came here. Because my brother was here, my aunts were here, everybody was here.
Yeah, my mother said that she had an uncle who went to Venezuela, got married. We don't know whatever happened. Never
this-
came back here.
So the story of this
We had it.
picture.
Yes,
We have this picture.
yes.
So the
That's
story of this
interesting.
picture, I didn't
Yes,
have this picture. I was
interesting.
sitting in a meeting, we're having a meeting,
Yes,
I get an email, and this picture pops up.
in the email.
An email. And the email came from Daniel Rosenzweig. Daniel Rosenzweig is also from an elephant. He's a descendant of Boveiser.
Oh, the who? Oh, I know who Rosenzweig from Canada.
From Canada?
She's
Bover
the Bover Rosenzweig.
Yeah, he's-
They-
Yeah.
they were. He was in jewelry.
The
German.
boy,
Her mother
Yeah,
is an elephant.